I want to hear cannons. Three-step drop, throws on the end zone. Caught ball, touchdown Tampa Bay. Mike Evans reaches up with one hand and grabs it in.
It's first and goal. That's picked off. And who else? Rondé Barber. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers may ride to the Super Bowl with that one.
We don't even keep score. We just run that up and leave.
Third down, 18. Dropping Gannon, looking Gannon. Throws up the middle. Heads intercepted at the 40. Derek Brooks 30. Brooks to the 25, 20. Derek Brooks all the way. There it is. The dagger's in. We're going to win the Super Bowl.
This is Mike Allstott, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and you're listening to the Cannon Fire Podcast.
And there the cannons go. Fire them. Keep on firing them. Keep on firing them.
Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new edition of the Cannon Fire Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Rhett Matthew, joined alongside me, my good buddy and co-host from BucsNation.com, Evan Wanish. Joining the show today, former Tampa Bay Buccaneers cornerback drafted in the 4th round of the 2016 NFL Draft, Super Bowl 55 champion Ryan Smith joins the pod. Pleasure to have you on, Ryan. How you doing today, man?
Thanks for having me, man. I'm doing pretty good. I'm blessed. Blessed and highly favored.
Always. Excited to get into your career with Tampa Bay, and honestly excited to ask you about what may be next for you here to close out the pod, but let's get into it. Evan, I know you had wanted to kick things off and kind of ask about the draft process for you getting into the league as a 4th round pick, just a couple of weeks removed from the 2023 NFL Draft, of course.
Yeah, as Rhett just mentioned, the NFL Draft was just recently, and a lot of newcomers had their dreams come true. So obviously, you were a 4th round pick. What was that process like for you? What was do you have any memories of draft day when you got that phone call, and what was that like?
Yeah, first of all, it was just pretty cool being drafted in general, and then coming from a small school, it was definitely a dream come true. It was funny because I didn't really know if I would get drafted, playing at Central, because it's really rare. But when I got the opportunity and I started to get more recognition and more teams interested in me, I was like, oh wow, I'm about to get drafted. This is before the actual draft, of course. And some teams kind of amp the process up as far as like, what round you think I'll go, or like the pick I will go, what team I'll go to. So I'm thinking like, all right, shoot, I might go 2nd, 3rd round. Like, this is pretty cool. And I kind of jumped to conclusions, and I had like a little draft party, had some friends over, thinking I'll go 2nd or 3rd, and it didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? So imagine like all these people here, and then like my name didn't get called. So the next day, I woke up, I started praying, I was crying, and I was like, I'll tell you today. I got to go today. And that's when the Bucs called, and I remember running to the corner, because I had my phone in my hand, literally like super tight, like somebody has to call. And when I got the phone call, it was a number I didn't recognize. Like, I don't know who this is. So I ran to the corner. I was like, hello? It was Jason Light on the phone. And then I just started crying. I was in the corner. My mom, I had like 3 friends over. They was all behind me, recording me and everything. And it was super dope, super surreal, and it was just a blessing to get my name called.
Yeah, and something that you don't hear talked about a lot is the pressure that's got to put on you as a player, obviously looking to get drafted, and you're hearing that, okay, 2nd, 3rd round, get ready to be day 2, kind of be ready to go. And then the time comes and goes, and then it's just all uncertain. And you talked about kind of navigating those emotions. So I can imagine just how heavy that was for you. In 2016, it was your rookie season with Tampa Bay. And, you come into the league as a cornerback, wasn't slated to be number 1 or number 2 on the depth chart. So you carve out a role on special teams. And obviously some of these younger corners and secondary players that come in sometimes have to carve out a role on special teams. And, what a way to do that with the play that was made in 2016. One of my favorite Buck highlights of all time, man. Brian Anger punts it deep, playing the Saints in Tampa Bay. Josh Robinson in the end zone. Alan Cross is back there as well. And you basically grab the ball, Michael Jackson, smooth criminal dive your way into the end zone, toss it right back to Alan Cross, who's there to make the save. I mean, what was the bench like after that play?
Time be flying.
That was seven. That was 7 years ago, man. I thought about that today, and it definitely hit me hard.
Jeez. The bench was amped. The bench was definitely amped. Shoot, the moment was amped. It was like, did that just happen? And like, and honestly, I didn't know. I knew where I was on the field, of course, but I didn't know what the ref was going to say. Like, he was going to say touchback, or he was going to say ball on the half-yard line. But the bench was definitely amped. I didn't know I was that low or that parallel, you know what I'm saying, to the ground. So when I seen the video, I was like, dang, that's how I was. And it's funny because I'm always doing like tricks or just doing stupid stuff, playing around on the field. Like, I'd jump up for the ball and I'll throw it out of bounds, but I would go get it and keep my feet in bounds. So like when I did that, it was kind of like me just playing around. But it happened in the game. It was kind of cool. But it was definitely a cool moment.
Yeah, and that was, of course, during a 5-game win streak for the team that year. So, yeah. I mean, and the entire team was really gelling at that point. And I think, there was a lot of plays during that 5-game win streak, but it's crazy how, one of the most memorable plays was that. And a lot of Bucs fans still look at that picture of you kind of like, you're sitting there almost completely sideways and still able to pin the ball there.
Yeah, that secondary made a ton of plays during that 5-game win streak. Back-to-back weeks, Keith Tandy calling the game with the ceiling interception. I mean, there was a lot going on that year as far as the secondary goes. But, 2016, your rookie season, you make one hell of a play. I wanted to talk about 2017. So on September 24th, 2017, the Bucs played the Vikings. And I could be wrong here, but this was your first career start. Brent Grimes was out with an injury. So they let you know that week that you were going to be getting the start against Minnesota. Now, this was a young Bucs team at the time, so it didn't go well. 34-17, the final score. But what were your emotions like leading up to that game that week? When did you find out you were going to be the starting corner for Tampa Bay, and how did you feel after that?
Yeah, I found out that week coming into. Well, I think I kind of had a feeling. What game was that? What
That was the second
3
game, because that's when you guys didn't have a bye week. The week 1 was canceled.
Did we play the Browns? Did we play the Bears?
You played the Bears week 1, and then week 2 was the Vikings. The second game was the Vikings.
Okay, so I kind of knew after the Bears game, because the Bears game was I got thrown in there after Brent Grimes got hurt, and I was like, oh shoot, I think I'm about to gotta go in there, because I wasn't, I mean, honestly, when I was preparing for the game, I didn't think I was going to go on defense. That is when I was they still had me, special teams guy type thing. So when Brent Grimes got hurt, I'm like, oh, I think I'm up. And then they like, all right, go. I was like, okay, cool. So after that, I'm like, all right, I guess I'm starting next game if he can't play. So I was prepared. I was ready. I definitely could have prepared a lot better. I really did still at the time didn't know how to be a pro and prepare to play, an NFL game on defense at least. And then like this is nothing like Central, playing in the MEACs is the NFL. So going out, I was very confident, very confident in my ability, what I can go out there and do. Obviously didn't turn out that way. And when the game started, like before the game I was good. When the game started, I was like, whoa. I ain't gonna lie, I froze up. Yeah, I froze up. My body wasn't working together at all. So it was like, all right, what you gonna do? Like after the game, I looked myself in the mirror. I'm like, yo, you can't be doing this. Like, you're better than this. I had a lot of negative DMs come my way after that game. But it's part of the game, man. People gonna be people, fans gonna be fans. But I looked myself in the mirror. I was like, yo, you gotta tighten up. You can't be out here nervous and stinking it up like that. So that was pretty. I had a lot of different emotions that game.
That 2017 Bucs team, if I'm not mistaken, they finished 5-11 that year. 2018 also finished 5-11. So, with that being said, you've played on Bucs teams that went 5-11. You've played on one of the 2 Bucs teams in history that won a Super Bowl. In just a 3 short year gap between those 2 teams, but I know that there's a lot of things that factor into what some would consider a good or bad NFL season, right? Because to the fans and to the players, the perspective of what a good or a bad season looks like is obviously much different. But, with everything that goes into it, based on your experience, what do you think the biggest difference was between, those Bucs teams that really did not live up to expectations in that 2020 team that, won the ultimate prize at the end of the year?
Honestly, I feel like it wasn't that much of a difference. Coaching, it was some coaching, of course. Coaching changes made a difference. And then we had Tom. We added Tom, added AB, added Lenny. But honestly, like before all that, we had the talent. We had the talent to go far. I guess I will say it was a lot of coaching. In my opinion, the play calling wasn't that well. And when we added Tom, we added a game manager. You know what I'm saying? He was able to manage the game with the talent we already had on the outsides and everything. So I think once you add those little pieces, that's when it came together for real.
So obviously,
dogs. Like people was like, the Bucs suck and this, that, and the third. I'm like, y'all sleep. Like we got dogs on there. Y'all tripping. It's just, we couldn't really put it together on Sundays, but once we got a game manager in there and then a couple coaches changes, and I think that's when everything turned around.
yeah, and you sort of saw that. I mean, the team went 7-9 in 2019, and then the very next year, they made the playoffs for the first time since 2007 and ended up winning the Super Bowl. So, of course, you mentioned Tom Brady there. I feel like we have to ask this question. So, in March of 2020. There's a lot of uncertainty about who's going to be the Buccaneers quarterback. Are they going to bring back Jameis Winston? Are they going to go out and get a veteran? And they end up getting, arguably, in my mind, he is, the greatest quarterback of all time. What was your reaction to that news that Tom Brady was going to be coming to Tampa Bay?
Oh, yeah. Well, first I want to say, when I say we got a game manager, there's no knock to Jameis. Jameis is a great quarterback. That's my dog, too. So I just want to say that, put that on the record. But when we end up getting Tom, I'm not a starstruck person, I just like, but it is Tom Brady. Don't get me wrong, it's Tom Brady. Like, we gotta get Tom and add him with, like I said, with the weapons we have. It was just like, this might be a great year. The coaches, Tom. Then you added extra pieces like Leonard. You added Sue. We had AB. Like it was like. We got some pieces for real. And it's because we lost that first game to the Saints.
Yeah.
And it was like, deja vu. Like, come on, man, they can't be doing this. Like, and we going to anything, we got to blow these dudes out, and that didn't happen. But the leadership kicked in. There's a lot of leadership on that team too. That we didn't lack leadership. It was just, I guess we added more, like I said, more pieces to it, just made that season a lot better.
So obviously the Super Bowl run, you guys have to go on the road to face some tough opponents, and you talked about the Saints there, right? And you went to New Orleans week 1, you lost that game. You've had trouble beating the Saints. The Bucs for years have had trouble beating the Saints. Now you play them in the playoffs in Drew Brees' last game. What was that like for the team? And also, remember the Saints embarrassed the Bucs on Sunday Night Football that year in Tampa as well. What was that like going into New Orleans and beating that team finally?
We took that game personal, like the Saints was just a personal game. It was different than any other game we played, really. So to lose the first 2 regular season games and then go in there in the playoffs and spank them, it wasn't surreal. The emotion we had was just amazing. I remember I was standing next to Coach Bowles. I just looked at him. I just gave him a hug. Like, yeah, like it was crazy. It was like, yeah, we won. Like, we did it. We kicked him out of here. We got him out of here.
It was like this weight off of your shoulders, like a feeling of relief.
It was because you go into a game, the fans know, y'all know, like damn, we lost the first 2. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how it's gonna go, but playoffs different. The atmosphere is different. The intensity is different. Everything's different, and you have to actually be there to feel it. It's not just another game. You know what I'm saying? So. It was a great feeling. It was a great feeling.
Now, when you look at that 2020 Super Bowl run, are there any moments, whether regular season, postseason, obviously winning the whole damn thing at the end of it, is there anything about that season that stuck out to you the most, or maybe anything that you would say is your favorite memory from that year?
nothing really stuck out the most. I just like how we overcame adversity when we was some games we'll lose. Like we lost to the Saints, we lost to the Chiefs, lost to the Rams, lost to the Chiefs and Rams back to back actually right before the bye week, and then we came back in like a 7-game win streak.
Yeah,
Like that was dope. That was really dope. My my
I mean, also having to deal with COVID. I mean, around the league, having to be smart about that. So
that's a lot of adversity going on that, you know what I'm saying? So that was really dope. And then my memorable moment was when I played the Redskins probably. It was kind of funny though when the ball almost hit me on that punt and I had to like just get out the way. I didn't know it was behind me. That was pretty funny actually. Me and Jay Nix on the sideline laughing after that play. My bad, Ryan, my bad. I say, how you good? We good, get the ball back.
So before we talk about what's next for you in your career at this point, I wanted to get your thoughts on this Bucs team coming up. First and foremost, you've been around this team the last couple of seasons, spent some time on the practice squad. What are your current thoughts on this corner room for Tampa Bay? Seemingly found their number 1 and their number 2 corner, which is something that this secondary really, I don't think has had in a very, very long time. I mean, I cannot remember the last starting duo of Bucs corners that, were on long-term contracts and management was obviously had a lot of faith in them, Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean being the 2 guys that I'm talking about. But, with that group being what it is coming into this year, what do you make of it? Because the defense, for a Bucs team that won the division last year but did go 8-9, the defense was the anchor for this team for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really know everybody in there anymore because Sean gone. I know Dean and CD, of course, really close. Tony. After that, I really don't know. I know a couple guys. I was there on practice squad last year for a little bit. But it's dope for the Bucs to do that, and like you said, because you haven't seen that in a long time. But Dean and CD are some dogs. So, and then they came from the same school too. So that's dope.
Yeah.
That's with them. But yeah, I feel like a lot of people defense is gonna be good regardless. I feel like, but it's not the same. I really not familiar with everybody like I used to be.
Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, you speak about that defense. They still have mainstays, like Shaq Barrett there. Joe Tryon is still there. Levante David, of course, is still there. And you played, every year with them when you were with Tampa, you played with Levante David. Just speak about, his leadership and what type of leader he is and a player he is on and off the field there.
Man, Tay is the most humblest dude I've ever met. Like, and then how he acts on the field, as far as like he a dog. Like, what I'm saying? He loud, he vocal. So he gonna tell you how it is. He gonna get in your face. He gonna motivate you. If you got soft skin, what I'm saying, you might not take it as motivation, but he's that guy. And then when you go off the field, he's quiet. What I'm saying? He's not flashy. He's funny. He like to joke around. What I'm saying? He don't think he bigger than anybody, man. He's so humble, man. That's a great guy. That's a great guy to be around, great guy to learn from. And like when I got to Tampa, he welcomed me with open arms. It was like, it wasn't he's a vet, I'm a rookie, he's gonna, do certain things and make me do it. Like, it wasn't nothing like that. It was, let's get this work. Let's get this money.
So speaking of mainstays real quick, I just want to mention one more because he just recently announced his retirement. Gerald McCoy, you played your first 3 seasons in the NFL with Gerald McCoy. Speak about him because a lot of people talked about how he was sort of almost like the same way as Levante, like not really a rah guy, but he led by example. What was he like in the locker room there?
Gerald's literally the same way that Tay is. But you're right, he's not a rah guy. He ain't the type gonna get in your face and tell you he's gonna quiet. He's gonna work. He's like a silent killer. You know what I'm saying? Like, he ain't say much, but you gonna know he there. You're going to know he's there for sure. And both of them do great work in the community. Like, they're the same person, seriously.
Now, I was going to ask about Levante and just his style of play on the field. You said he's more of a vocal leader now. Has he always been that way? I mean, at least while you were in Tampa, when you came in your younger years, was he a vocal guy on the field? Because I felt like, you can only see so much on TV, but watching him, it didn't seem like he was, kind of the rah guy for a long time.
It's when, if things not going well or he's just having a great game, that's when you're going to hear his mouth. And sometimes he might not say nothing, but if Tate mad, he gonna get in your face. He gonna tell everybody, pick the shit, you know what I'm saying? Pick it up. You know what I'm saying? He not going like that. Him and Quan the same way. Quan rah-rah for sure. But Tate, you know, if he mad or things not going how it's supposed to go, or he just in his bag, you know what I'm saying? You gonna hit Tate. You gonna hit Tate for sure.
So I wanted to ask you in the next steps for you in your career here, currently an NFL free agent. Is a return to the Bucs a possibility at this point?
Oh yeah, I don't even know. Right now I'm dealing with a suspension. I don't know if you guys know. When I tore my knee with the Chargers, I was doing my rehab, and I was recommended to take some pills to help with my muscle around the knee, but those pills ended up being a banned substance. I did not know. So I'm in a situation where, you know, I have to wait till my suspension is up to get back on the field. So I'm just out here staying in shape. Football not over with for me though at all. I have so much more. I feel like I'm 21 still. But yeah, I'm just here, just trying to find, you know, who Ryan Smith is outside of football, until I can get back on the field. So yeah, that's what I'm dealing with right now.
And obviously getting involved in a lot of stuff outside of football, that's all the more important once the playing career is over. But you started your own clothing brand?
Yeah, I started a clothing brand. I have a sprinter business. So I'm just, you know, just trying to find out some entrepreneur stuff, I guess. I'll try some acting, some modeling. I like fashion.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just here really trying to figure out what I want to do. You know, get my foot in the door. So when I do retire, you know, I'm already. So it's like smooth sailing. I'm not trying to, you know, find out what I want to do.
Yeah. So we talked about, just wanted to bring it back really quick because you mentioned your time with the Chargers, and it reminded me, you know, that, you know, after the Super Bowl season, you were actually a free agent for the first time in your career.
Yeah.
What was that process like? I mean, I'm always fascinated to hear from the players' side of things what being a free agent is like. Is it a little bit uneasy not knowing what your future holds there?
Yeah, well, for me personally, with the Bucs, you know, I didn't go to the NFL to be a special teams guy. You know, that just happened. You know, I embraced it, and I felt like the Bucs. I didn't get many opportunities to make mistakes with the Bucs. So when I was a free agent, it was like, okay, we know he could play special teams, but why wasn't he playing corner? You know, so I don't know if that's going to be a knock on me going to free agency if a team would want me. You know what I'm saying? So I had a lot of different thoughts. I'm a thinker. So I had a lot of different thoughts going through my head. And but I knew I would get picked up. I just didn't know like when, where, and if they would try to lowball me. I'm like, oh, here we go. Okay, let's see what happens. But like I'm a strong believer in God. Like, I put him first in everything. So, you know, I just gave it to him. And I know I could ball, like defense and special teams. So so it kind of like I was on the fence, like would a team knock me because I don't play that much corner, or would a team want me because I can play corner and special teams? You get busted both worlds, you know. So I had a lot of thoughts going through my head.
During that process, how much are you talking to teams? Is it more so your agent or representative kind of doing that stuff for you and then reporting back, or do you get to have a lot of one-on-one time with, you know, these teams who are looking to bring you in?
Oh yeah, so I guess like it depends on who you are. I guess like teams can bring you in and you can actually see the facility and things like that. But with my situation, it was just my agent talking to teams, and he'll get back to me to tell me like, you know, the money thing and who's more interested and the role you'll probably end up playing, things like that. So I kind of weigh my options. And the Chargers, they gave me the best option. I ain't gonna lie, I didn't want to leave the Chargers. Unfortunately, I tore my knee, so I didn't get signed back. But they kept their word about what they said where I was gonna play and where they see me at. So it was really dope. Unfortunately, it came to an end because of my injury, but I'll be back out there for sure.
All right, yeah. We're hoping to see you back out there, and obviously, you know, the Chargers. I know this is a Bucs podcast, but I want to talk about Chargers. Obviously, have Justin Herbert now, so you were able to go against him in practice. You played with him. What type of quarterback is Herbert? I know he's one of the rising stars of this league, so a lot of people are going to want to hear about him.
Man, he a dog, man. First of all, he's huge. I ain't realize he was that huge. And then he's younger than me. I don't feel like I'm old, but I'm kind of old in the game, like in a way, right? So this guy's like what, 23, 24, something like that?
Yeah, literally younger than me, man.
Yo, and I'm looking up to him, and I'm like, yo, this kid is so strong, so smart, like so down to earth. Like, yeah, he's a great person. And then when you meet people in the league who are down to earth people, it makes you want to play for them. Like your starting quarterback isn't a dickhead, is what I'm saying. Like
Right.
you want it's somebody to play for, somebody you want to be around, and we're gonna and help win. So when you got teammates like that, I feel like that builds a stronger team. Even coaches, when you got coaches like that, you got coaches you want to play for, you really can't beat that team because everybody's playing for one another, not themselves. So the Chargers gave that vibe, coaches and players. So it was really dope being over there. It was dope. I will say that.
A lot of great things to be said about the Chargers as well, but you don't have to answer if you don't want to. But do you have any preferred destinations?
Nah, man. With me, like I said, I want to get back on the field. I don't care where it is. I don't care how cold the state is. Like, I want to be in the field, of course, but it has like I don't care. I just want to be back on the field. I thank God that I'm still here, still training, still staying in shape. You know what I'm saying? So I'll just be blessed to be on a football team and be able to show my talents again.
Well, Ryan, we're always rooting for you here, man. We really appreciate you hanging out with us today on the pod. Before you go, where can people find what you're up to now? I mean, where can they find you on social media, Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff?
Oh yeah, I don't really be on Twitter like that, but my IG is everything for Deuce. It's that's for my brother. But yeah, find me everything for Deuce on IG, and then Twitter was I don't be on Twitter. TikTok though, TikTok.
Okay.
That's when I'm out there being silly, just making like skits and stuff with videos.
Yeah.
Doing a bus podcast. I want to put out my condolences for Shaq and his family. I've been praying, guys, so I couldn't reach him, but if he listens to this, just want to say, man, I'm praying for your family, man. Just continue to keep God first in your life, man. Everything will be all right.
Absolutely, man. Former Tampa Bay Buccaneer Ryan Smith, thank you again for your time today. We really appreciate talking with you, and looking forward to seeing you back out there on the field, man. We're obviously always rooting for you over here, especially down here in Tampa Bay. The real ones who have seen this team, since longer than Tom Brady got here know about Ryan Smith and that play from back in the day, dude. I mean, you talk to a lot of people who just started watching Bucs football in the last couple of years, and they just don't know.
They don't know.
They don't know. But thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to do it for this week's episode of the Cannon Fire Podcast. You can follow the show on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. All of those are Cannon Fire Podcast. Best place to follow the show for updates and, of course, Buccaneer news as it happens. Speaking of Bucs news as it happens, you can follow my co-host Evan on Instagram at Bucs_daily. You can also find him on Twitter at EvanNFL and check out his written work at BucsNation.com. Last but not least, you can find myself, Instagram and Twitter at Rhettakus, RHETTAKUS. If you follow me, I will follow you back. But that's the show, folks. Thank you again for listening this week. Thank you again to special guest Ryan Smith for stopping by. I'm your host, Rhett Matthew, signing off from my co-host, Evan Wanish. I'll talk to you in the next one. Until then, and as always, go Bucs.